Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, Sejohn Sarwick. How you doing, Sejohn?
Oh, I'm okay, man. It's been a week of illness and broken bones and emotional damage and all sorts of good stuff, but I am alive. I'm here, so that's a win.
I'd like to know about the broken bones. Are they your bones, or did you break somebody else's bones?
No, no. I don't know if I've talked much about it, but my partner who deals with a POTS diagnosis, which means that there's all sorts of larger health risks for all sorts of various things, and one of those things happens to be that if you have previously broken bones, then apparently they're not necessarily guaranteed to be the most well-healed areas, which I think is true for everybody. But if you have POTS especially, then when you have things like, say a fainting incident and then you break your ankle, that sucks. So it was not great, but the doc that we got to go see for it was super rad. She was very cool, and she was very hands-on. Like, she was like on the floor, like wrapping like my partner's leg and everything, and yeah, it was very, very cool to at least have somebody in the middle of all of that was clearly very knowledgeable and clearly very ready to ease some of our bigger concerns and things like that. I hate to say it, but like, that's rare these days, right? Like, a lot of the times when you go and see a doctor, like, there's like no back and forth. Maybe that's just me, but it just feels like there's just,
I am happy to report. I recently had my week of all my doctors, and then I got take 2 of that week of all my doctors, because all of them required follow-ups, and I really enjoyed, like, almost to the fact that with my new eye doctor, and it's nothing against her, like, I'm like, I don't know if I can take like any of the advice I just got from you, because it just felt like 2 people talking. It did not feel very professional. And again, like, that might sound strange, but she's like, I mean, your glasses, your prescription looks like it's changed, but it shouldn't have changed. I'm not sure. Like, it was like, this was a real fun hang session, but like, when it came to the doctoring, I was less excited about what I was hearing.
And I mean, nothing will ever beat the worst doctor I ever saw. When my mom was in the hospital at one point, and the woman that was attending her was so blunt and so straightforward and so disconnected from the fact that this woman had like a family and was like worried. I can't even get into it without giving away like details, but like it was not the best bedside manner.
Yeah.
And so like ever since then, I pick up on it when health professionals are or aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, like, I love my PCP. I think she is wonderful. I had to meet with a PharmD, and that was, like, the most candid a doctor has ever been with me on anything. And my dental hygienist, which led into having to get, 2 fillings redone and capped and all that.
I'm sorry.
That was wonderful.
Did you say you had to go to a farm doctor?
A PharmD. That's a pharmacist, a doctor. This is with a PH.
For a hot second, I thought maybe you were like with calf or something.
No. All right, well, so here's the good thing. Like, this started real serious. So I felt a little weird about the title of the episode, but you thinking I was, pregnant with calf really kind of just breaks that. You know what, though? Let's take it, because I will say it is not something that a lot of people know about. It is a doctor of pharmacy. They have a huge program at our alma mater, University of Rhode Island.
Right.
And basically, it's a 3 to 4 year professional doctorate that's required to become a licensed pharmacist. But then also, once you're a licensed pharmacist and you have a doctorate of it, like, you know how our fucking healthcare system is broken? And rather than doctors saying, these are the drugs you should be on, our commercials say, ask your pharmacist. Ask your doctor about this. This profession has been created for just that. So that's profession exists, and that's who I had to sit down with, a pharmacy doctor. who, I am going to trust. I'm not going to say, I saw this commercial for this drug that I think will make me feel better. And there's anything wrong with it. It's kind of a fucked up thing that our system does, right? That we
there is a little bit
drugs.
that is wrong with it. I will say that. I will put my foot down that I think the fact, you hear about this all the time, but the drug commercial, as like an American thing, right? Like the idea that you don't see drug commercials in other countries, or at least not like you see them in America.
Right.
And that's wild to me.
Right, because it's so exactly. We've been seeing commercials about the drugs that you should put into your body for at least 30 years, right? And they may have existed prior to that, but like I can go back to 1996 and remember seeing a commercial like that.
There's a special style of artist that works for those kinds of companies that has to convey what your body does on the drug without being so grotesquely technical, right? So like I always think about that with like stomach animations where they're like the pill goes in and then it turns pink and everything's all better, and not like the real move of like the bubbly acid in your tummy finally calms down and so you don't poop so much.
Yeah, they have to. It needs to be appealing without grossing you out. There is a real art form to it. I'll give them the credit.
It's a gross art form, but it's an art form.
But but sitting down with that PharmD, like it was fun to like hear about. I'm looking at the drugs that you're currently on, and these are the things that I think you should be on. And I think, and this is a feather in my cap, I was the first person he met with that day that didn't ask about being put on a GLP-1. And like that was a nice thing to hear from a PharmD. But it's a thing that people don't know what it is, because like I've said, I'm meeting with a PharmD, and a lot of people don't know that that's someone who has a doctorate in pharmacy. Though like most pharmacists require that anyway. I don't know. It's a weird disconnect. But it's someone who will like actually sit down and look at your doses. It's a very necessary thing in our, pill-happy society that we live in, to have a doctor who's like, I'm going to look at all your medications and make sure that none of these are conflicting with each other. Or like the doses are correct. It was a very nice moment. So I'm glad that you got that as well. Or at least your partner did. Because that is... Yeah, it is. A bad doctor will ruin your whole fucking day. And I will.
Yes.
I will admit 100%, that. Like,
yeah.
And again, and I don't really, but it is one of those situations where, I had such a good rapport with both the, nurse beforehand and the actual eye doctor that, she didn't want to tell me my prescription got worse. And I'm like, but if my eye prescription got worse, that's why I'm seeing you. It's been 2 years since I've seen an eye doctor. It makes sense that my vision might deteriorate in 2 years. Do you know what I do to my eyes?
I fear. Do you know what these have seen? I fear for the drivers of Rhode Island, man. 2 years.
Well, I'm good. I have on my same glasses now. And in fact, she's like, you're going to get new glasses with this prescription. You're probably going to hate it, but live with it for a bit. And I'm like, those are glasses, right? Glasses always have a period of adjustment. I don't know. And that 2 years was actually more, I think, because of my insurance company than anything else. I'm now back on a 1 year cycle. But, it's all fucking stupid. It's the big business of healthcare that America is disgusting. And it's actually, it is. There's no further things to say about that. But I feel like this wonderfully dovetails, it's dovetailing, into something that we should discuss this week. Because a little birdie told me that you've completed Resident Evil Requiem, and you might have some thoughts about that.
Yeah. I finished it up, and it it's hard for me to express how
Spoilers,
good it
just
felt.
quick, just
Oh
in
yes, yeah.
case.
No, 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 no. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Spoiler alert. Yeah, but it's hard for me to express just like how good it felt because I'm not a horror game fan. Like, I'm not gonna say like I seek them out. Like, for instance, I don't play the Silent Hill series anymore. I gave I think two a shot. Yeah, two was the big one, and like and I follow the series. I know what's going on in Silent Hill, but I just can't play those games. Like Silent Hill F looks stunning and the story's really interesting, but I have no interest in the mechanics in that game and stuff like that. And there's an element to horror games that makes it harder for me to talk about whether or not I love them because I don't know if I do because they're not necessarily pleasant experiences for me. So Resident Evil is this like odd duck out of all of them in that like I think I do have kind of a really deep love for that series. I mean I own like the novelizations. I've got comic books. I've got mangas. And then in addition to that the games that I have played, the movies I have watched. Like there is a real serious love in my heart, I think, for Resident Evil as a series. And I don't think I realized how deep it went until Resident Evil 9 and the ways in which that game really celebrates like the story, the series, the characters, what the kind of core concepts of Resident Evil are. Like this felt like the true Resident Evil 3 to me. After Resident Evil
Wow.
2, and then Nemesis is where people kind of feel like some things started to lose the plot. This felt like a true, honest to God Resident Evil 3 to me.
Which is crazy because this can't have happened before Resident Evil 4, but I understand exactly what you mean. Like that is a concept that you're bringing that like this feels like Resident Evil 3 in a way that like Resident Evil 2 is not a direct sequel to Resident Evil. I mean, like, you don't play as either of the characters that you play as, right? 3 is really more of a sequel to the first Resident Evil because you're at least Jill Valentine again, right? You're at least the character who existed in the franchise again.
Yes,
Like,
narratively it is. Yeah, yeah.
But when you talk about like this is a conversation that we have with your brother. Where I'm just like, don't play the other games. You just played the RE2 remake. Go play Requiem. And the reason for that is that it does feel like an actual factual follow-up to Resident Evil 2 in so many ways.
But I mean, like, it's got like it's got the creeping around factor that I think that 3 and 4 really miss. 7 brought it back. 7 brought it back like hardcore, and I really appreciated that, which is why up to this point I was talking about how 7 was probably my third, like was my second favorite game only to the first one. But Resident Evil 9 has slowly taken second spot and may be top. I mean, so the big thing for me about finishing this game is just thinking about where everything is going to go next, and it just feels like the two things that are guaranteed at this point is that we are going to see a Resident Evil 10 that I mean, that's guaranteed. We're going to see a Resident Evil 10. Mm-hmm. Here's where it becomes kind of like my own hopes and dreams. That's going to be kind of what Resident Evil Requiem did for 2. 10 will do for 1. All this talk about where was Chris this whole time. We hear Chris Redfield's name dropped at the end of the game and stuff like that. I would love, and it might just be a DLC for this, but I would rather it be the whole next game. I would love it to be about Chris and Jill. Like, while Leon is in the city trying to figure out what's going on there, Chris and Jill are going to do some cleanup work at the mansion, right? Like, that would be, even if it's just part of the game, right? So, like, that's my hope, is that what we see with 10 is a real celebration of the first one. But I think also, I mean, we talked about how there is a remake version of 1 on the way. There has to be, and we know that it's kind of on their plans, their calendar, as it were. And like, that has to be sooner than later, I think, as well. I think that we see a Resident Evil 1 remake and then 10, in which 10 is the love letter to 1 that Requiem was to 2.
So my only issue with, I mean, I've not played 5 or 6. Currently, those are the only 2 games that I don't, in the main numbered series, I have zero
Do you have any
time on.
questions about them? Because I spent so much time with five as somebody that loves the series and loves everything about it. I recognize how Resident Evil 5 really doesn't work as a Resident Evil game or within the Resident Evil universe, but at the same time, I had a fucking blast with that game.
So I don't want to ask anything because they have talked about that they're probably going to remake it. So I'd like to play the remake before I do anything. I have a lot of questions about 6, though, the game that I don't think will ever get a remake. And also, I'm fairly certain, you can answer this, right? Question 1, is it tank control? Because I know it's more of an action focus. Number 6?
No, it's not tank control.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's okay. So what 6 does that I think is really important mechanically for Resident Evil is it's the first time where, yes, you have multiple characters you can play as, but you are going to change throughout the narrative. You are going to switch between characters throughout the narrative. I think, 2 and 4 had those moments, those one scenes where you were like playing as the little kid or playing, playing as Ashley, or I think that's her name, right?
Yeah, Ashley.
But
yeah.
like you have these bits where like you're playing as another character, but generally like you are focused on one character at a time, right? Especially like the first one, you either pick Jill or you pick Chris, and 2 is kind of the same way. You either pick Claire or you pick Leon, right? 6 was where they really tried to fold in the idea that you're going to play as different people are going to have different kind of methods, right? Because even all the way back to 1, Chris had less storage space, so you really had to plan things a lot better with him, whereas like Jill, you could be a little bit more loosey-goosey with like exploration because you had the extra space to pick shit up, but that would lead to you finding things out of order sometimes and stuff like that. So like this is all stuff that has been part of it until 6. 6 really tries something with the narrative, and it didn't work because the balance just wasn't there. But you know what? Requiem gets that balance right, which is another big feather in its cap.
I agree that it gets the balance right. I mean, speedrunners disagree because they skip the orphanage. But I think that orphanage part is so. Honestly, I've heard some other people talk about it, and just to like rip off that Band-Aid, it is because all of the games eventually have parts that are skipped. Like once it gets to that point in the speed running, eventually a mod comes out to skip over what is quote unquote a boring moment of the game. So rather than wait until that naturally occurred, they decided to roll it out within the first week of release. Like they identified the thing and said, yeah, we're not going to make you play through the orphanage. We're not going to make you play through the intro. And then the gross thing, the about it, is part of the calculus in eliminating these boring areas is so that it will have a longer lifespan as something that people will watch, like streamers interact with. Like the fact that gets mentioned in the choices we're making, in the things that we're doing with this game, is we know that it will increase the lifespan if viewers are not having to watch these boring moments. If viewers are not going to have to watch the intro get restarted 12 times before they get to a run, that'll mean more eyeballs for longer and thus more profit for those who are streaming the game. That's America, baby.
Yeah, that hits me like those guys that take AI filters to female cartoon characters. Well, cartoon characters too, but video game characters, and they're like, "See, we could make her pretty. Why couldn't you?" Like that kind of shit. It's like, whoa, dude. There's so much that you were telling on with yourself in that sentiment, and like. Yeah, we think that people will enjoy it more if we skip a lot of the story and just get to the shoot bang bang. And it's like, it's Resident Evil. Like I like there has been some amazing action moments in Resident Evil. There have been some not so amazing action moments of Chris of the Boulder, right? But like at the end of the day, Resident Evil is a narrative heavy franchise. I won't say narrative focused, although I do think that it is more narrative focused than some other horror games, right? Like you play Doom. Doom is definitely a horror game, right?
Oh yeah.
But it is so action focused that it becomes a different kind of game for me, right? And so like I can actually get down on Doom, and like Dead Space is maybe a better example where it's very narrative heavy, but I do think the action of Dead Space is what makes Dead Space Dead Space. I mean, the floating in space mechanic for the boss battle that was like introduced in Dead Space 2 became so iconic to Dead Space that when they remade Dead Space 1, they put a scene in that wasn't there the first time around of you floating in space and fighting shit.
Yeah. So again, I've never experienced Dead Space, but it is something, it's just such a weird thing to think about of like, yeah, it's narrative heavy. And you guys are already kind of saying we're going to put the lore and the narrative behind. But like the things that people complain about, right? 7, you've talked about 7, how much you enjoyed 7. Once you get to the ship, people hate that game. Like, and they're, I don't know if they skip the whole ship or anything like that, but like straight up, there are like talks about how the ship is the worst part of that game. And it's like, I understand that because it's not the fun. I'm in a creepy small house, like dealing with stuff, but also is a big part of the game itself to get onto that ship. Like, what are you talking
about? I'm sure that we have talked about this before, about how I really have an issue with speedruns that start to kind of pick away at the narrative, because like for me that is why I'm playing a game, and I am so interested in watching somebody do an honest to god straight playthrough, like the first Resident Evil having taken place over just a couple of hours in one night is like important to that story, right? Like you have a literal ticking clock at some point with that game, and so like watching somebody speed run it, quote unquote, but still making sure that they hit all the narrative moments sounds like a dream to me. I would love to watch a really good Resident Evil player go through that game, but not skip the story, rather make the story work, other than me who spends 60 hours walking around that mansion at night.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's the difference though, right? Is that it is for entertainment, right? When you're streaming, you're playing for the entertainment factor. And if I want to experience it, like I want to give it 60 hours of my life, then I do that on my own, right? I want to watch somebody else play the game that like might not interest me because I'm not into horror games. I'm not into survival games. I mean, take your pick about why you might watch somebody else play a style of game, right? Kaizo Mario, I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the patience to like die hundreds of times in order to get one jump and then start dying on the next jump. That doesn't interest me. Like it's, and that's me though.
Yeah.
But I will watch people. I'm more of
a let's play watcher, I think, than like a speedrun streamer. Like if you speedrun watcher. I mean, just like I think that's where it falls for me, is that like I would much rather watch 50 videos of a guy going through blueprints rather than watching somebody break the game in like 2 moves and be like, there, I conquered it. It's like, okay.
I know, it's different styles of entertainment. And the problem is with Resident Evil, generally what you're getting is speedruns. Like I saw somebody who was speedrunning standard mode, and that interested me, but they were still like on practice stuff. They weren't doing a real run. And honestly, for something where like we want to make sure that people can watch runs, it is almost impossible to find an actual factual person who is running the game. Mostly it is people practicing their hard spots, and then once they start running it, they still get caught in a reset loop because, the chainsaw fell too soon in Leon's first stuff at Rhodes Hill. Or like, oh man, that guy grabbed me. He's never grabbed me before. So then they're still doing the resets. It's just they don't have to do the whole intro as part of that. Like you still find reset loops and things like that. The best thing was a week ago, there was, I'll give the streamer's name. Her name is Sneevil. She put on a tournament of like the top runners, and it was like playing against each other, going. That was awesome because I actually got to see runs of Resident Evil Requiem start to finish. And the really weird thing about that is the whole section with Leon in Raccoon City where you got to get the detonator, the like,
Yeah.
the
The 3 parts that you
huge
gotta.
frontispiece, like it is so prologue for what is actually the payoff of going back to Raccoon City. It's the weirdest thing. Like watching it and hearing the commentators are like, this is kind of just a hold forward section. And it's like, I hadn't realized just how, like, when you're not playing it narratively, when you just have to go from A to B to C to D, because it's 4 things that you need to collect there, like, it does really kind of feel like you're in the way of the part of the game that matters. Like, I understand why they feel like you're just holding forward that whole time.
I love listening to you come to this, because this is what the feeling that I think I've always had. And when you talk about like not really caring about story in a game and moving past it because you know what you need, this is the feeling I have. What you're describing is that feeling of like, I don't know if I like this or not. I don't know if I can endorse this or not,
And I understand that. I get it. I mean, there's time for the story, right? The thing with like Link to the Past, right? Let's talk to Link to the Past. I know the story of Link to the Past. So that game has essentially become just like an exercise in getting from start to finish for me. There's nothing new about the story there. But, playing a game for the first time, playing Resident Evil Requiem the first time, I lived in every single story beat. And then, my playthrough to get through it in under 4 hours without using, like, blood crafting or healing items or storing anything, like, that was...
Did you figure out what was going on with Monsieur Tofu there? I couldn't, like...
He's just
I kept
there.
seeing him, but I couldn't...
He's just there. You can't
it's not
interact.
like shoot him for, like, to open a mode or anything like that?
No,
okay.
By all accounts, it's just an Easter egg. Tofu is there as an Easter egg and nothing more.
I mean, he's a hell of an Easter egg. He followed me around outside of those windows for about 10 minutes. I was like, I started to wonder if there was going to be some narrative reason he was fucking there.
Yeah, so it's a block of tofu, reference to the original and remake of RE2. But yeah, it's strictly just so you can be like, oh, Tofu's still alive.
Yeah. Tofu's in Resident Evil 1 too. There was a mode where you could play as Tofu in 1, at least in the remake. By the time it hit on the GameCube.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's just that. But no, that, like, people have been talking about it. And maybe, I mean, after a month of release, they added a photo mode to the game, which also, I think, also speaks to what you're talking about, is that, like, you want to experience the game before you're, like, pausing to take beautiful photos of the moments in the game, right? It would sort of, it runs the risk of taking you out of the experience, like, confusing the kayfabe, if like, oh, wow, I'm at the RPD again. I want to take photos of everything. Like, no, you're here, Leon, but there's important things you need to do while you're here.
Well, and he would not necessarily, I believe, want memories of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was something, I mean, that really does work for me in the game. The whole idea of going back to it, but like, honestly, it has not changed, because when you left there, a nuclear bomb got dropped on it. So it is really frozen in time. The idea of him unlocking the gate that he locked 28 years earlier is fucking crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, there is also the good old fashioned Resident Evil plot holes left, right, and center, right? But it's all to the convenience of the genre, right? Like Resident Evil games have always been, from day one, meant to be satirical in the ways in which they play with like the American action horror. Like that's why all the guys have big beefy arms. That's why all the women are half naked half the time and stuff like that. Yeah. Like it is very much poking fun at like the B movie beefy like action horror films from way back in the day, like Predator, like just to name like one of the more famous ones. And I know it's not a B movie, but just it's that vein of film that this series was always trying to kind of aiming for. And so like there's just something really, I don't know, there's something really cool about the ways in which, yeah, of course that happened because the plot would dictate this would happen, but they do it so well that it doesn't feel like pandering. It doesn't feel like cheap, or if it does feel cheap, it's kind of like a joke that it's so
you're
cheap.
part of it.
Like
You're
they're
part of
in
that.
they're in on the joke with you. I will say this: they did a really good job for all competitions are all competitions, all corporations are evil and all that shit. So like this is not me getting all lovey-dovey, especially not about a company like Capcom, but like the love that they were able to put into this game is so rare these days. And like it was just really nice to see that there were clearly people that worked on this that cared, because you hear so much about how nobody in the industry actually cares anymore. They're so disconnected from the work, whether it's because they're in some type of like art farm or like their vision has been stolen from them from some larger company. It was cool to see a game this big have this much actual heart in it, and that was really the biggest takeaway for me from Requiem. It was just, I mean, the villains are really good, although I do have some questions about the guy, about what's his nuts there, not Wesker.
Zeno.
Yeah, Zeno, thank you. Yeah,
I like to imagine
Victor,
that
though, I
there's
love
also
Victor.
an X named character and a Y named character who are clones of Albert Wesker. Because Zeno has to be a clone of Albert Wesker, right? Like the guy, I thought it was Wesker. The fact that it wasn't felt like kind of a bait and switch in a lot of ways. And I know that it'd be impossible, but also...
I bet that there's like files or something that you could find that would kind of prove that. But I 100% thought, and I'm with you. Like I was like, if that's not Wesker, then that's kind of a failing. Like it needs to be Wesker for this game to actually have the impact that it currently has with me. But that moment when he just fucking starts talking shit to Victor at the end and then he just wipes his head off, it's so good.
It is. Like, and the thing is that like they never make Zeno so intimidating that like you want to kill him. So it's okay that kill is taken from me. I mean, okay, so you've beaten the game, right? So you've seen my favorite thing where Victor kills him. You've seen take my strong arm, because I love that he got the little hand coming off of it. Did you see both endings of the game? Is the first question I want to ask.
Oh, no. Okay. I released the thing and had the whole Leon gets healed and all that shit. Yeah, so I to me that's the ending of the game. I know there's another ending, but it sounds ridiculous to me to not do what I did,
right?
And like I understand that's a bias, and I'm not saying anybody that made the other decision is wrong, but like I don't think I'll ever go in and play the other ending. So like,
and that's a damn shame, is what I have to say. If you don't have a save file that you can go back to and choose the other ending, highly recommend it. Because, of course, I'm playing the game, and I played it, like, just straight through. Like, I took a little nap in the middle, but mostly I played that game straight through one sitting. And it gets to that moment where you can either destroy or release Elpis, and I'm like, they want me to release Elpis. That is what the whole narrative... I have followed the game. I know what the supposed to ending of this game is. I also know that I have a save right before this, so I'm going to do what the game does not want me to do first. Because
I mean, that is true player instinct. That I will give you, because like that's the game wants me to go right, so I'm going to try left first.
Yeah.
Like that is true gamer instinct. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so I'm doing this. And I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it is worth seeing. But it does run full credits. You do get you get an ending if you choose to destroy Elpis. But then immediately afterwards, like it says, do you want to go back to this moment? Like, straight up, it is such the game is pointing you towards releasing Elpis that they, after you choose to destroy it, they're like, all right, well, that was fun. Let's go back and do what you were supposed to do. Like, okay.
Yeah, I got a YouTube short the other day of the YouTuber Markiplier explaining his choice, and I don't remember the game getting so deep into this, but the various mentions of Pandora's box, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that the only thing left at the bottom of it was hope. So this idea that if the T virus was Pandora's box, the only thing left at the very bottom that he would still have locked away would be the cure. Mm-hmm. It was so good. It was so good. It felt good, like listening to that and hearing that connection, and then play. And then I had played through it, and so like thinking about like, man, like I wonder if there's other things like that I missed. So now I'm like itching to get back. It's a game that I'm going to play again, but I think what it is right now I'm riding so high on how much I like it. I don't want to mess with that at the moment.
And I get that, and I totally understand that, because all of the things, right? The name of this episode, I didn't hit any of her vitals, is because that first time it's kind of a sweet little moment, and then you get your happy ending. But then when you've played through it 2, 3, 4 more times, you're like, how the fuck did he know where her vitals were to not hit any of her vitals? Like, the fuck is that? Like, I'm wiping away all responsibility like of that line so that we can have a happy ending. But also, that is Resident Evil. Resident Evil is schlock. And not in like a negative way, in the way that like a lot of our entertainment is schlock because of like studios being like, well, it has to have a happy ending. What are you talking about? People can't be sad when they leave the movie theater. They'll never come back. So like
satire has become like a necessity in these days because of the fact that like they know that they're part of the problem every time. They're like, we know we're just pushing the same bullshit, but at least we're aware. It's like is the go-to attitude these days for these things.
Yeah. So yes, so I'm glad that you finished it. I'm glad that we could have this discussion about it. God, I am excited for when you go back to it. But going back to video games is something that I wanted to make sure that we covered in this week's episode, because Shinobi, my game of the year for 2025, I don't know if I ever mentioned that, but Shinobi Art of Vengeance was definitely my game of 2025.
Nice.
It had its DLC release on April 3rd, and its DLC is the Sega Villains DLC. So, like, there's going to be a boss fight.
Oh, that's the one where they got Robotnik.
Robotnik,
like that,
yeah.
Right? I saw the art.
That's amazing. It's the one-eyed guy from Yakuza. I don't know his name because he's not. And then it's also Death Adder from Golden Axe. Those are the three. Here's the problem, is the fact that I have not played Shinobi since probably September. That's probably the last time that I put any real hours into Shinobi. I forgot how to fucking play Shinobi. That's just the real thing that I gotta say. Like, I was playing yesterday and I got to the end. Like, first of all, I haven't fought any of the bosses. I only did one level, City at War, which felt like it was Yakuza. I kind of want to do Robotnik last. That feels like the real prize, is as Joe Musashi to fight against Ivo Robotnik. So that is what I want to do last. So I chose the one that legitimately felt like Yakuza level. And it was not a lot of Yakuza. Like, it felt very Shinobi. It felt very like the Crystal Caves of Shinobi. And it was a lot of like, here's a big arena fight where you have to fight through waves of enemies. And it actually turns out that where I had stopped yesterday was the final arena fight in that level. I finished it this morning. I unlocked a new costume for Joe, which made me happy, because that's like all I wanted was new costumes. I wanted there to be a little bit more.
Yeah, what's your kind of your history with Yakuza / Like a Dragon? Like, what is?
I haven't played any of them. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
So,
well, just because what you're describing, I have not played Shinobi, so like
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that this is what's going on. But that sounds like what they're doing is actually emulating Yakuza pretty well, because that's really kind of what you do in Yakuza is you just run around the city and then you end up in an area where there's like 20 guys and then you beat up like 20 dudes and then you move on to another area and do the same. And like there's a lot of comedy to that, and on top of that, the story in that universe has expanded and gone so far that you could have one all the way back in feudal Japan, all the way up to you could have one in the year 3000, and they would still somehow work within that world. They just put out a pirate one, I think.
Yeah, and that's also set in the real world, but you're a pirate. Like it's
Yeah,
set in
yeah.
modern times, but piracy is like the way of that area. Because I've seen like
Yeah,
I've seen
it's a
like
very
donkey
weird
videos
series,
and things
so.
about him. So
How do you feel about the other ones then?
well, I haven't played any of the other ones yet, so that's the problem.
Oh, right.
I guess where it comes from is that like that was also a pretty big part of the Shinobi game in general. So it doesn't so while to you as a Yakuza person, like that emulates Yakuza, it's also a big part of how Shinobi Art of Vengeance comes from. Is these
Yeah,
huge
sure.
arena fights, and like you gotta fight through, and then you get like the key that you need to progress, or you'll be able to activate the computer that lowers the water so you can move further down. So it's not like it was
Oh,
a new mechanic having these big arenas, but also Yakuza's arenas, they're 3D arenas. 2D arenas,
yes.
there's less room for that. And
Yeah,
honestly, the
yeah, yeah.
worst part about all of these arenas is that they added like laser bridges with one area where you could jump up. So a lot of what you're doing in Shinobi is like fancy movement tech. But then like you go to ninja flip out of it, but you flip into the laser above you. And so you end up get like taking damage and getting hurt by the thing that you're supposed to be using to evade damage. So it
Yeah.
completely changed it. But the harder part for me was relearning the dance that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Because I just straight up did not realize, like, I forgot, like, it uses the full scope of the controller. I will give it all the credit in the world for that being how the game functions. But then being back in it, I'm like, I know there's a way to like hover. I know I've unlocked like the glider tech. What button is glider? It's L2, right? R1 is for your Nimpo, but it's also in order to activate, you have to be holding L1 before you hit R1 in order to activate like assassination kills. And it's just like, I had to go through the tutorial again to be like, oh, right, I forgot that was part of this game. So, like, I'm definitely there. Like, this morning I felt better about it. But, you know, one of the dangers of releasing a DLC, like, almost 7 months after the game came out, let's look that up before we, like, sound like a total idiot.
It came out in August of 2025, end of August, so like August, September.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. August 29th was the exact day. So 29th to April 3rd, did quick math. It's like 8 months, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
That feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 8 months between them. Like, I did not think Shinobi was going to be such a, like, remember Shinobi, Devon? But it was. And honestly, I'm kind of happy about that. That I didn't, like, just jump in and completely steamroll the game. It's balanced well.
I do wonder if you're going to see much more difference between the other two now that I look and see what the other two are. As we already said, Robotnik is one of them, right?
Yeah.
And I am feeling like Golden Axe is also a franchise that would allow for that kind of arena style fight. So I don't know if it's going to get too crazy. It'd be wild if they go in a completely different direction, like with how they do each one. But
Yeah.
because like the Sonic one would be a very interesting one in terms of the movement tech you were talking about, you know?
Yeah.
I hope that they're not all the same, but as I look at this list and hear what you're saying, I fear that what they probably did was just say, what are 3 franchises that we can emulate in Shinobi really well, as opposed to like, let's do something out of the box and creative. Like, let's just take our game and reskin it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the problem is that Shinobi Art of Vengeance, like, it is really good about things like that. Like, the level that I think it's the 4th level. You're in Neo City, which is sort of like the big cityscape in all of the Shinobi games. And it requires you to go, you have to save 3 kidnapped boys in order to get to the second part of it. And it sort of is choose your own adventure. Which one do you want to go to first? And that is really cool. So I was thinking, like, with Yakuza, I know that there's like a pretty like mission-based sort of objective gameplay thing. I was kind of hoping for that. I was kind of hoping for, like, you need to collect like 20 golden monkeys or like stupid things like that. And there might still be there. I've only done 1 level, but that 1 level really just felt like, and it was large swaths of not doing anything between arena fights. Like, that was the weird thing too. I'm like, this doesn't feel like the Shinobi game. It would make me do like some platforming here. And there were platform puzzles, so don't say that. I can't say that there weren't. But then there were other things where it was literally just, I'm running from this to the next event. And maybe that's very Yakuza as well, right? But I feel like Yakuza's a dense world. And like, I'm hoping that like the other Yakuza levels have maybe people to interact with. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
man, that's wild.
So,
I do hope that you get what you want from this, because the game, I mean, before the DLC, and you have been gushing about the game, and the game looks gorgeous. The game has been hitting with people other than just Devon too, right? Like, so like it seems like actually like a really cool, you know, like way to celebrate some kind of a retro style that I just have no connection with. So like, it's really cool to like be kind of sitting on the sidelines of this one. And I would hate for the story to start to become that it felt lazy at the end, because that's so not the story of the original release, you know?
Yeah. And I guess that's it. Like, I'm like, you know what? I understand, right? Like, and honestly, a level like this is not going to completely turn me off of it. 6 levels like this might turn me off of it. But if the fight against the guy at the end is a good boss fight, because Shinobi Art of Vengeance, what really the exploration in the levels is insane. It's really, really good stuff. And none of that was present in this level. Legitimately, I got the 100% clear just by going from the start to the finish of the level. And that kind of sucks, because one of the beautiful things is, like, it's sort of Metroidvania-y, you know, exploration adventure, as we're trying to make it now. Konami's doing that. That's not just the Say Report thing. But, like, not an interconnected world, but, all right, you beat this level, so now you have the ability to, like, drift. You can glide. And there was an area in the first level where, like, if you had that glide ability, you could unlock something. Like, it forces you to go back and replay levels, but not in sort of the Metroidvania way where, like, now it's all backtracking. I kind of like that. I do like that in games. It upsets people because it's not a Metroidvania. As much, like, as issues as we had with Grim Guardians that we discussed on this show, like, people are mad that that was called a Metroidvania. No, it's a Metroidvania. It's just that you don't get to do the Metroidvania style exploration until New Game Plus, when you're going through the levels with a fully unlocked moveset.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the difference there. That doesn't make, like, Curse of the Moon 2 did that as well. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I loved Curse of the Moon 2 so much, is that, like, oh, there's a whole path I haven't taken in this level when I look at the, like, map at the beginning of it. How the fuck do I get there?
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, granted, I'm not like dissuaded from going back to Shinobi. The bigger thing that I wanted to talk about, and hopefully I'll have finished it by the next time we record an episode, but the big thing that I did want to discuss and highlight is the fact that I forgot how to play Shinobi Art of Vengeance. And that seems like
getting old, man. Getting old.
Yeah, right? It is that, right? And honestly, it kind of made me happy that I'm going to have to relearn how to play the game. And that seems strange. That seems like a weird thing. But it means that the game has depth. And it's not just like... And I don't mean anything to this, but like Ninja Gaiden is pretty much jump and sword slash, right? There aren't like deep combos that you need to perform. And some combos will like put them into a state where they can be assassinated faster. Or like this combo is specifically meant to be used against somebody who has a shield because it breaks the shield with the final hit. Like relearning the combos and like the usage case for each combo has been great. And it reminds me one of the reasons why in a year full of like new ninja games that was 2025, Shinobi Art of Vengeance was the cream of the crop, was the one that rose to the top. Not to sound like
all right, man.
Macho Man Randy.
No, that's awesome.
There. I've also, before we move on to either discussing it or it being the last thing that we talk about before sending this away, I'd like to talk about a couple of indie titles that I messed with recently. Do we want to go with door A or door B, Sejohn?
Door B. Let's do door B.
Have you heard of Raccoin?
No.
Okay. Raccoin. So it's raccoon, but if the second O was an I. That's how you spell it. If you want to take a look at it, it is a roguelike coin pusher.
Oh my God, it's right here on my front page.
I'm sure it is. It just released.
It's on sale for $10.
$10.
Right, cool.
And if you already bought Balatro, then it's less than $10 with tax. It's like $9.34. And it is kind of a blast. Like, if you need a game that like you can kind of just put on in the background, it's casual, but it's also a roguelite. So, you play the game and each run, essentially, right? 'Cause that's what you call them, is made a little bit different by the items you're able to get from the store and things like that. I've been having a real blast with it. And I just want to I saw someone playing it like yesterday morning and I'm like, you know what? I miss going to the arcade and I miss playing this exact type of game. So let's try it at home. And it's a blast. It's really a lot of fun. Shit. Yeah.
Super Battle Golf is also on sale. Have you seen any of that? That game looks
I don't want to play it. Like, that's the thing. It looks like it'd be fun, but it does not look like it'd be something I would have fun with. Does that make
come on.
sense?
I bet you and I could have a real blast
maybe
there, especially if we can get some of the
maybe
Zach in there and stuff.
I don't know. It's one of those ones where I'm like, I don't know how much I feel about this one. But what's it on sale for?
$5.
$5? It's like I'd like $2 seems like what I'd want to pay for that. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man.
Yeah.
Know your limits. That's good.
But yeah. So Raccoin, I mean, I've just started it. I've unlocked a couple of characters. I've not yet completed a run, because to complete a run, you have to get through 15. And usually around like round 10 is where it's like the goal is just insane. So like I'm learning it. I'm still getting there. I'll get there eventually. But if you're looking for the next big roguelite experience, it's probably going to be Raccoin. And this is me talking about it. They're not a sponsor.
I'm totally still on that Dice a Million train.
Yeah,
man,
right, exactly.
I hear you.
They're there. This is the new type of game, man. It's not super fun to watch, so I don't know about that longevity, but I don't think about that calculus because I'm not an insane person. No, I'm just being a jerk. The other one, which I'm glad you let me save until second, is that Little Nemo has a new game.
Is that what you were playing the other day? I thought you were playing like the NES one, and I just misremembered the name or some shit.
Nope. Little Nemo and the Guardians of Slumberland is a brand new Little Nemo themed game. It is a for real exploration adventure. Or where like you go to connected dream worlds and you have to rescue their guardians. It is beautiful. The game is beautiful. The only reason I haven't gotten further in it is because like it struggles to run on the computer I've been playing it on. Like I'm looking forward to bringing it to my beefier PC that's down here with me and actually sitting down and giving it like a lot of my attention. But it's awesome to see a new Little Nemo game. And this is something, I don't know if they kickstarted it, but there was a way that, yeah, there was a Kickstarter. And I had almost like backed it because I'm like, oh, I kind of want to be part of it, of course. But then I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm so over freaking Kickstarters and everything like that. So I ended up passing it up. But the Kickstarter went live. When did you go live? When did you start? Because that's the biggest part about this. Hello, campaign. I guess updates is the best way to do it. I can go backwards.
Well, all right. Raccoin is officially installed, and Little Nemo is on my wish list because I got to do a little bit more research on this one. Because the thing is I this is phenomenal. I love Little Nemo and that whole art, like that world that was created in those original art prints is some of the most beautiful art I've ever experienced. It was kind of the first stuff that I was looking at as a kid and being like, oh, this is well done. Like, this is good. Compared to the other stuff that I would be reading in terms of the books that, like, you know, the comics books that I had, Garfield books, as it were. Like, it's so comparing, you know, Garfield to Little Nemo Little Nemo was always going to kind of win that one. And there's just something about like the look of this one. It is really, really beautiful for what it is, but it is so not the world of Little Nemo in that kind of way.
And that is something that I feel. So it started in June of 2022 is when this campaign started. So I've been following it, and the fact that it actually got released is because there's another Nemo game that's on Steam. I do not remember the name of. That looks way more like Winsor McKay's stuff. Steam. And the Nightmare Fiends. If you want to look at that one, like that one really nails the artwork of it. And it's fun. Like I played there's a playtest now. I had the demo and I really enjoyed the demo. But like one of those things where you talk about like changes to it is Flip in Guardians of Slumberland is a lady. Flip is not like a cigar chomping, like dirty old man who would go on to be voiced by, he's voiced by one of the like classic guys. Like
he's like Mickey Rooney or somebody like that.
Mickey Rooney is what jumps to mind, but I don't know if it is. I'm going to look up Little Nemo. It is Mickey Rooney. Good job, Sejohn. Way to trust yourself.
Yeah,
I did not trust myself.
I know. I love it. Yeah. Little Nemo has always been a delight for me. Like I was somebody that had the bootleg, I think first 8 minutes of the Miyazaki version of Little Nemo that ended up falling apart, which is what led to the version we got.
Yeah.
But I've seen the opera. I actually wrote about the opera because it is technically the first staged comic book adaptation or comic adaptation, because it wasn't a book yet. It was still just in the newspapers then.
Yeah.
But it holds that place as being the kind of the first time that we as a society looked at comic art and went, you know, there's something more going on here, you know. Little Nemo's a great, and then on top of that, it's a great world. Like the story in and of itself, like with the princess and the king of Slumberland and all that. And Flip being kind of not necessarily an he's an antagonist, but not necessarily a villain, if that makes sense.
Oh, I know exactly. I mean, like that. Yes, that speaks to the character for me.
Yeah.
And the whole thing of his name, Flip, the fact that like you never really trust the guy. So like it is a weird sort of situation there. And like I'm not upset that they switched the gender. I know that it is dicey territory, so I don't know how people feel about this game. I don't know how anybody is playing it. But it was one of those things where like I met that character and it was like all question marks and I'm like, "Oh, who's this?" And she's like, "I'm your good buddy Flip." And I'm like, "No, you're not." And like I understand that like but Flip is
no, you are not.
You're not. Like and I kind of hope that they're able to do that cuz like I've saved 2 Guardians so far.
Okay.
And the whole point of this, the Oblivion is leaking in to Slumberland, and if the Oblivion takes over, then Slumberland will die forever. Because Slumberland is constantly, I mean, you should know this, but for the listeners at home, Slumberland is constantly destroyed, but it always comes back. Like, that's the beauty of it because of its ethereal nature. But if the Oblivion is allowed to overtake Slumberland, then it won't be able to be restored. So, like, that's the story of it. And then whenever you find a Guardian, it's very... this is hilarious to me because Capcom releases... We're giving Capcom a lot of credit in this episode. But Capcom releases Little Nemo the Dream Master right along the same time as Super Mario Bros. 3 releases in America. They're both 1990 releases in the U.S.
Damn, I didn't realize it was up against Super Mario. I mean, it is a beloved game, though, right? Am I misremembering that?
I don't know. It's NES games and their status as beloved or not is such a weird thing.
Least,
it's remembered. But, like, I would consider it a beloved game, but that's because my cousin owned it. I owned it. All of my friends because, like, it was a game we enjoyed playing. So, like, that whole thing, I would always... It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite NES game, is Little Nemo the Dream Master. Like, real... Like, if I were gonna get a tattoo, that's probably one of them. My first cosplay was as Nemo. So, like, I definitely is beloved by me. I know that for a fact. Which I just want to...
Well, like, I'm thinking about when I first got into, like, emulation, it was one of the first games that was really passed around. And for all of my love of Little Nemo, I had never really played the NES version because I just didn't have access to it. But I knew it existed. I had like art of it and stuff like that and in my Nintendo magazines and stuff. But like when emulation became a thing and when we were in college, it was one of those games that it ended up being the first thing that I played because it was like one of the first things people wanted to get out there. Like, I think that the video game legacy of Little Nemo is one of those really cool kind of in the background stories, right? Like it's not like it moved consoles, it didn't change gameplay styles or anything like that, at least not that I'm aware of. So like it's not one of the ones that's always going to be talked about in these conversations, but I do like that it is still remembered.
Yeah, I get that. So Little Nemo is September of 1990.
Oh no.
What? Oh no. Why? Oh no. And
why isn't Mario November if I remember correctly?
Mario is February of 1990. That's when we got it.
So he would have already been out.
So he was already out. I guess the reason why they're like in my head as it is I got them both for Christmas in 1990. Christmas 1990, I opened up a copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 and a copy of Little Nemo the Dream Master. And so it was out there for a while, but like they're two big, beautiful games in terms of like the sprite work and the worlds and the different things that you get to see in them. So they're the same. They're both 1990. So them being conflated in my head is not crazy. Sorry.
No.
But the whole point of the game in Guardians of Slumberland is that the Guardians have lost their magic wands to like some sort of boss, and you need to beat the boss, retrieve their magic wand, and bring it back to the Guardian to restore them to their natural state. So it's Super Mario Bros. 3 sort of gameplay loop where like get the scepter, bring it back to the king. But then the other thing is that the reason for the oblivion seems to be tied to Nemo not remembering Slumberland properly. Like it's about his memories. So when you save the first Guardian, she gives you a whole speech about like, think of this place, think of home. And he has memories of home. He has a deep memory of home. And that removes the oblivion from like the forest that you're in. And then when you go to Candyland, it's like, think of it's hope, I think is what you're thinking of, or wishes or things like that. But it's like, remember, it's remember. You have to remember this of it. So there might even be something about like this Flip not being Flip, but, you know, doing what Flip has always done in Nemo stories, which is trying to get their own goals through Nemo's actions. Right?
Yeah.
So
using Nemo to gain something, whether it's money or food or whatever.
Right. And that's the whole thing. Is so like Flip says, like, if you're able to get back one of these scepters, they can grant any wish. And then they're like, we could grant our wishes, Nemo. And Nemo like, no, we got to bring it back to the Guardian. What are you talking about? We could grant our wishes. So I think there is going to be some fun with the whole Flip character. I just haven't gotten there yet. So, but
no, I mean, it's a good looking game. I'm looking at it right now. I'm definitely wish listing it.
Yeah. And, but I would look at the
drops
Nightmare Fiends, because I'll send you the link to that, because I don't know if you'll do it. I think I'm going to see if I can play test it. I'll be completely honest with you. But like, if you look at the art, even just in the thumbnail from what I just sent to you, it is very, very...
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that it has to look a certain way in order to be a Nemo game, but like what I'm seeing here is even mechanics wise, like the ability to kind of like float, fly, and the ability to and like a lot of things with like big stretchy legs walking over things, so you have to kind of like platform over stuff. Like this feels much more like a Nemo experience to me from what I'm seeing. The other one just looks like it's just a good game. I got to play it because I'm very interested to see how much of the Nemo lore it really plays with.
Yeah. I mean, then the big one was like, it was really strange for it to be like, I'm your good friend Flip. And I'm like, no, you're not. Flip is different than you. And again, not anything like, and I'm hoping that there's a narrative reason for that. But if you're going to talk about like Nemo's memories are essentially why you have to visit the various Guardians of Slumberland, then I hope that there's some connection to it, to like this whole thing. But it's a good time, and I've really been enjoying the game. Any other video game stuff before we talk about the final topic I wanted to make sure we broached in this episode, Sejohn?
I've got kind of a crossover into movies. I finally watched Hitman Agent 47 last night.
Oh, the second
on a
one?
whim, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the second. I don't think it takes place in the same.
Oh, it certainly doesn't.
I do not think.
But I think
it would have been cool if the agent at the end had been Timothy Olyphant when the doors opened.
That'd have been fucking awesome. I've only seen that movie the one time in theaters on release day, so I don't know. But I guess when I say the second one is the fact that like Hitman is a game series that has had 2 movies.
Yes.
And
yes.
That,
no, you're not wrong. It is the second one, and I'm sure that that's an easy way for people to find it. I just want people to understand that it is not in any way attempting to be a sequel to that first one.
No.
And has a very different vibe in what it is as a style of movie, right? Like that one, the one with Timothy Olyphant is a hokey ass, so much fun, like B-movie plot, just to go back to that again, right? Like it is so good. Like it is, I enjoy the original Hitman film with Elephant. It is also too goofy for its own good. Like it is too weird and too goofy, and people just can't. I don't know. This one though was pretty fucking choice. Like it was such a cool sci-fi, like not like a deep sci-fi, right? Not like a hard sci-fi, but like it was definitely got this whole side of it that is important to the Hitman world, because that's the whole point of the programs and stuff. So like there is that kind of sci-fi element to these games, and there's also this like idea of like a little bit of like future tech. Like the Hitman games always seem to have technology in them that are a little bit more ahead of where we currently are, right? And it's what makes his targets so important usually, is because they've got some type of cell phone schematic that will actually allow them to like enslave people at a whim or some shit. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like there's all sorts of like really cool nods to the video game, to the ways that the game is played, right? Like the idea that he does not engage in like large group combat. He does, and he tries to not engage in hand-to-hand combat if he can avoid it. Like he does everything he can to take people out, like, without being noticed, right? Which is very Hitman. Like it was a blast. And I don't know why I hadn't seen it up until now. I'm trying to slowly work through some stuff where I just wasn't watching stuff for a while, and so I'm trying to kind of get caught back up on some things. And yeah, I checked that out last night, and I can't stop thinking about it.
All right, so I think that's going to answer my question. Have you seen the Super Mario Galaxy movie yet?
No, I am going to see it this afternoon. I have my ticket.
Excellent. So then we'll pause there, because I saw it, and I'm very excited to discuss it with you, and I don't want to infect that at all, your enjoyment of the film. So know that it has been seen by one of us, the other is planning on it, and we will be discussing it next episode. So prepare accordingly.
All right.
So I think that's it. I mean, it's Easter, so I'd like to get off to like the egg hunt and everything like that, if that covers everything from you. There's nothing else you wanted to make sure we talked about?
No, nothing else huge in terms of stuff I accomplished this week.
Yeah, no, and I'm feeling sort of the same way. I started a lot of things, not a lot of finishing. But yes, so thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. If you want to keep the conversation going, you can join us in our Discord server. Invitations to join are available wherever we are on social media, which as of this recording is still Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. Go to our page, look in the info, bio section, and you'll see an invitation to join the Discord. Or if that's too much social media for you, you can send an email to thesayreport@gmail.com. And if Discord itself is too much social media for you, we are still reassessing our sort of relationship with it as a service. And we're not really making any progress, I'll say that. So, like, you can also just send emails to us directly, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you that way. The most important thing to remember is that if you're writing for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Sejohn Sarowick, put our first name in the subject line, and it will be distributed appropriately so that only Sejohn gets to read what you want Sejohn to read. However, just keep in mind that if Sejohn reads something he thinks is worth talking about on the show, he's going to talk about it on the show. Any submissions are subject to being part of an episode of the Say Report. The lawyer is happy in his corner. He's clapping like a monkey in a Stephen King novel.
Oh, God.
Again. That said, thank you so much again for joining us for this episode of the Say Report. We will see you next week. And William, if you'd please, bring us home. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.